Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this live webinar that is being organised as part of the Humber Apprenticeship Showcase, powered by us here at SpringPod. Now, just before we get started, I am going to go through a few housekeeping bits. So firstly, the talk should last around 45 minutes. And please don't forget to ask all of your questions. There is the Q&A function, and no question is a stupid question. So please do ask them. And I'm sure Katie will be happy to answer as much as she can. Now, normally there's quite a lot of questions. So due to this, we might not be able to get through all of them. However, if you see one that is relevant to what you want to ask, use the little thumbs up. It's an upvote function, and we'll try and ask the most upvoted questions throughout the session. And then, of course, if you do miss the webinar, or for whatever reason you have to leave halfway through, don't worry, we are recording. And we aim to get the recording up within 24 hours so you can go back and replay as much as you like. So in today's webinar, we're going to be talking about Cranswick, and joining us to do that is lovely Katie Beadle, who is the Group Learning and Development Manager. Hi, Katie.
Hello. Hi, Millie.
How are you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. I'm really well, excited for today's presentation, so it's good.
Oh, so are we. So I'm going to hand over to you because I know you've got loads of interesting bits to get through, and then we'll ask the questions at the end.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Millie. So as Millie just said, so my name's Katie. I'm the Group Learning and Development Manager here at Cranswick PLC. I'm delighted to be talking on this event today about apprenticeships in the food and drink industry. I'm from the city of Hull, so I'm from the Humber region, and growing up here and going through school a few years ago now, I never had the opportunity to learn about apprenticeships and what was available to me. So I just kind of went through the standard route that I thought I needed to go down. So school, A-level, and then university. And kind of looking back, it would have been brilliant if I'd have dialed into something like this and learned about all of the different opportunities that I could have, the different routes I could have gone down through an apprenticeship if I'd have known that the options were there. So I'm really hoping if you kind of take anything from this day and take anything from this presentation in particular, it's just to open your eyes as to, what are the different opportunities for a young person looking to progress or to start their career. So my talk today is going to be specifically focused on the food and drink industry. So I, like I said, I represent Cranswick. We are one of the largest food manufacturers in the UK, and we are situated, the head office is based here in the city of Hull. So absolutely perfect opportunity for us to talk at this event today. And when we were approached by the team to present, we jumped at the opportunity because we are so thrilled to be kind of presenting and representing apprenticeships within the Humber region. So we've been scheduled for an hour. I think I'm going to talk for around 30 minutes of that, and then hopefully we'll have some time afterwards to answer any of your questions. But as I'm talking, please feel free to chat, put your questions in the chat box, and then we can answer them at the end. So kind of roughly today, what we're going to run through is a bit of an intro to Cranswick. So I don't want to focus this presentation wholly on Cranswick, but I think it will just give you a bit of a background and a better understanding of, why we kind of know what we're talking about when it comes to apprenticeships. Why the food and drink industry? So personally, myself, it was something that I never considered going into, and I kind of just fell into the food and drink industry. But now working within this industry, it's brilliant, and it's such a good industry to be part of. So hopefully I can share some of that with you. What roles are available? So again, I think people just think that, food and drink, it's manufacturing, I don't want to go into manufacturing, but do you actually know and appreciate the roles that are available within the industry? So we'll spend some time looking at that as well. And then we'll go into more detail around apprenticeships. So why would you want to study an apprenticeship? What's the benefits? And then look at those different relevant apprenticeships in the food and drink industry. If you've hopefully liked enough of what I've said today, then you can start to look up about the different opportunities that are available to you. And then I'll just touch on how you can find that apprenticeship position as well. So we'll get started. So as I kind of said, Cranswick are one of the biggest food manufacturers in the UK. Our kind of strapline purpose is feeding the nation with authentically made, sustainably produced food created with passion. I've put this slide in as it just gives you, a bit of background as to kind of our ethos and our values. So that British heritage piece, authentically made products, we're committed to taste, and we have a company of entrepreneurs. So I won't go into too much detail, but hopefully that'll sort of come to light as I go through these next few slides. So Our growth history. So we started in the 1970s as a sort of a feed mill. So we were established kind of as an agribusiness back in the 1970s. And over the last kind of 30 years, we have progressed and grown into, as I say, one of the largest food manufacturers in the UK. So I will touch on our products in the next slide, but as you can see, we've sort of expanded from so pure kind of pig-based business into producing a range of different products suitable for consumers in kind of modern day society. So in 2014, so I won't go through each one of these, but as you can see, 2014 we branched into poultry. So we are now predominantly pork and poultry. In 2019, we acquired a company called Katsuri Brothers. So they are one of the largest importers of Greek cheeses and olives and things into the UK. So we are looking at expanding our product portfolio and kind of steering away from the traditional meat business and looking at what opportunities that we can progress into. We also have, so we're quite unique in a way that we oversee the full supply chain from farm to fork. So we own 100% of all our poultry farms. So our poultry division is what we call fully integrated. And then the pork side, we don't own all of our pig farms. However, we do have really close relationships with all of our pig farmers. So relating this into a kind of careers context, we can literally offer a young person a career in sort of so many different departments, which we'll go into a little bit further on in this presentation. Relevance to Hull, so we are in the process of just launching some products into McDonald's from our brand new gourmet kitchen facility in Hull. So that's a brand new site that we are in the process of staffing. And then we have just, I don't know if any of you kind of read the news, but we are in the process of building another site in Hull, which is a breaded poultry facility as well. So like I say, constantly growing, constantly evolving. The business is doing extremely well. We grow in two different ways. We build our own sites or we acquire businesses that are doing brilliantly. So that's kind of our growth history so far. So products. So what do we produce? So this slide always makes me quite hungry looking at all the different categories that we have. So like I say, predominantly fresh pork, which is where we started. However, we now own all of those secondary processing sites as well. So gourmet sausage, gourmet bacon, gammon, now cooked sausage and bacon. So McDonald's are our main customer for that. Seasonal, so things like stuffing balls, pigs in blankets, kebabs for barbecues. Fresh chicken is now a huge part of our business. I didn't give this stat on the last slide, but our new poultry facility in Suffolk in Eye was actually a £70 million investment. So we're quite heavily investing in poultry at the minute. Slow cook, so we have a huge site in Hull dedicated to slow cook. Gourmet pastry, we've got a lovely site in North Yorkshire who produce a lot of gourmet pastry products for M&S. Cooked and sliced meat, so all the meats that go into kind of sandwiches, so into the retailer market or into food to go, so Greggs, Costa, things like that into all the sandwiches, and then ready to eat chicken as well. Continental meats, so we have a gorgeous factory in Bury just outside of Manchester who import and create a lot of those kind of cured continental meats and olives and really tasty kind of Conti products like that. Specialty cheeses, so halloumi and feta, things like that, and then finally nuts, grains and pulses. So a really broad range of kind of products that we are offering and we sell, and like I say, we seem to be just diversifying as the years go on. So our location, so relevant to you all probably on this presentation today, we are located nationwide. However, our head office is based here in the city of Hull. And where we have, I think, 6, soon to be 7 sites here. So if you are looking at, exploring what's available within the food industry, and you obviously, I'm hoping you're in the Humber region. If you've dialed into this, into the presentation, then you're in a really, really good location to have kind of so many different sites on your doorstep. And hopefully by the end of today, you'll have learned a little bit more about Cranswick and you'll just want to find out more. And, if it isn't Cranswick that you want to come and work for, then what other food manufacturing businesses are in the area that you can consider as somewhere to start your career. So So yeah, this kind of slide just demonstrates where we are across the nation, I guess. We have sites in Northern Ireland, as far south as north of London, Milton Keynes, and then kind of if we look east, it's all down that east coast really. So our poultry and pig farming facilities, if you're interested in agriculture, there are quite towards the east coast of the UK. So yeah, we employ around, I think this slide's slightly out of date, just over 12,500 employees across the country, and we operate across 16 different facilities. And we have invested over £400 million capital investment since 2012. So lots of investment, lots of people, lots of sites. It's a brilliant business to work for, and I'm quite proud to say that I work for Cranswick. So one of the things that we talk about now, and something that we're extremely proud of, is our vision to become the world's most sustainable meat business. We are actually kind of industry leading in terms of sustainability in the meat sector, as it's something that the meat industry has come under a lot of scrutiny over the recent years with regards to how sustainable it is to rear and to eat meat. So we are really at the forefront of this, doing as much work as we can to make our industry as sustainable as possible. And it's brilliant, like I say, to work for a business where they have that at the forefront of everything they do. You can see at the bottom of this slide, there's a little logo called Second Nature, and that's what we've branded it as. So in theory, they've tried to make it as simple as possible for all of the 12,500 people that work in Cranswick that sustainability is second nature to us. It should be, you know, something that we just do naturally, whether it's choosing whether to print an email or not, or choosing whether to drive a 50-mile round trip to a site to visit, or you know, if you're stood on one of our operations lines, choosing whether to put some packaging into a recycling bin or just to throw it in general waste. So that's really kind of a simple version of what this project is, but really it's absolutely huge. And if I click onto the next slide, we have made a series of different pledges that we want to achieve over the next few years, and the main kind of the key one is for us to be a net zero business by 2040. Now, I'm not going to talk into this loads because I'm definitely not an expert by any means, and there's so much that we could talk about, but we do have a website set up specifically focused on second nature and all of the great work we're doing, so I can share that in the chat, I think, at the end if anybody wants more information. However, it's really focused on these things. So you can see here, so food waste, we want to commit to decreasing our food waste by 50% when it comes to 2030. Plastics, so 50% decrease in the plastic usage of our business by 2025. We want to lead the way in animal welfare, which we are currently doing already. So that little BB4 logo that you see there, we are actually in the highest tier of food producing companies in the world for animal welfare, and I think there's only kind of 5 or 6 companies that sit in that top tier. So we're extremely proud to be, you know, have a business where animal welfare is so important to us as well. So that's kind of Cranswick and who we are, what we do. There's so much information online. We have a brilliant website that you can go on and find out a little bit more about us. But I'm sure what you're all dying to know about is apprenticeship in the food industry. So like I say, when I kind of grew up and went through school, I didn't really know what an apprenticeship was. And I think, you know, people just kind of presume that if you didn't go to sixth form or college and you didn't get the A levels and you didn't go to uni and get a degree, you know, you were kind of deemed as, you know, a failure. And that was something that was set in people's minds. And that was kind of how the education system worked. The last few years when the apprenticeship levy was introduced, it's brilliant that there are now so many people choosing not to go down that traditional college university route and actually to work for an employer and gain a qualification at the same time. There are so many different qualifications and, you know, so many different levels, and I just hope that, like I say, from the end of this you realise how, you know, what a brilliant opportunity it is to do an apprenticeship. I will say at this point, absolutely anybody can do an apprenticeship, so it doesn't have to be a 16-year-old leaving school. So I'm 28 and I'm currently doing an apprenticeship in learning and development. I'm doing my level 5 alongside my day-to-day job that I'm doing at the minute, and for me that's something that the business has put me through, and I want to gain knowledge and experience and something to add on to my CV whilst I'm doing within work. So again, that's just, I wanted to mention that just so you know that it's not just young people that can do an apprenticeship. So let's have a little look at why the food and drink industry. So what's so great about it? So I guess no matter where your interests lie, there is always going to be a department or a sector of a manufacturing food industry that is suitable for you. And I guess that's something really key to take away from this. So Cranswick, if we look at ourselves as a business, we have everything. So every department that you could think of. So HR, finance, recruitment, agriculture, operations, new product development, technical. So there's so many different kind of career aspects that you can look at. I just don't understand why people wouldn't consider the food industry for any for considering their career. The first kind of point to this is there's opportunities for all levels. So whether you're somebody who's just finished school, you've got no qualifications, you don't know what you want to do, then you can join the business at an entry level or an entry level apprenticeship and work your way up. So an entry level apprenticeship is sort of level 2. So if you haven't had a little look, it's probably worth exploring the different levels of apprenticeships, but that's generally kind of GCSE level, and then you would work up your way from there. Alternatively, if you're somebody who's educated to a degree level, like myself, there are opportunities to join the business at that higher level as well. So opportunities for absolutely anyone with any amount of experience. You generally are very welcome to come and work in the food industry as long as you're very hardworking. Rewarding careers with rapid career progression. So the food industry, it's a very fast-paced industry, and that's kind of the nature of how we work. So food is fresh, it sits on the shelf, and it's only got a certain amount of days that it can sit there. So you imagine all of the background work that needs to go into that product to making sure that it's there for a short amount of time and then it's replaced or replenished when it's been sold. That means that we have to work very, very quickly. So especially if the product can't be frozen, we do need to work quickly. So if we're thinking that we're a very fast-paced business and we work very quickly, then you can kind of refer that to career progression also. We have some brilliant individuals who work at Cranswick who have joined as graduates or apprentices and are now managers kind of within that 2 to 3 year period. As a business, they are extremely good at progressing people that are passionate and that want to, earn more, progress, gain more responsibility, and they will invest in those people to make sure that they can get that rapid career that they're looking for. Higher than average pay compared to other industries. So I guess the food industry is very competitive in terms of talent, which for somebody looking at considering a career in the industry, it's quite a good thing because it means that companies have to pay more to keep people and to stop them from kind of jumping in between companies. So I think if you looked at kind of average salaries across the board, the food industry would pay quite well. Working in a fast-paced environment, which is constantly growing to keep up with consumer demand. So I used to work in marketing, so I have quite a good understanding of this, but I won't kind of bore everybody if it's not something that you're interested in. But if you look at consumers and what we eat on a day-to-day basis, it's changing so much. So kind of if you asked your parents or your grandparents, what they would eat, what they would shop, when they would shop, where they would shop, how often, how much it would cost them, it changes so much. And as one of the main industries in the UK that's probably relevant to everybody, which is the next point that I'll go on to, we have to keep up with that, and we have to keep up with that consumer demand, and just to make sure that we're profitable as a business and we're producing things that our consumers want to eat. So there is that piece. And then finally, job security. Everybody needs food and everybody needs drink. So I think that the key point from this is throughout the last year and the pandemic, and I won't mention this C word, but there's 2 main industries really that have just kept going, and that is healthcare, so the NHS, and then the food and drink industry. At Cranswick, and I'm pretty sure it'll be the same with a lot of food manufacturing businesses and retailers, they've made little or no redundancies and not had to use the furlough scheme, and that is because food and drink every single person needs. We can change the format of it, or we can change how it's produced or where it comes from, but essentially it will always be there. And I think this last year has kind of proved that to Cranswick as a business, that we've done quite well this year, and I felt very lucky to work for a business that has still needed me throughout the pandemic. So if you're looking for that job security piece, and there isn't much security unfortunately in a lot of the industries at the moment, then definitely consider food and drink or healthcare, but I don't know who's talking about healthcare today. You're on this one now, so. Yes, so that's kind of my pitch to the food industry, I suppose, in terms of why it's so attractive. So roles in the industry. So like I said, I didn't consider a career in the food industry because I didn't know what I would do. I didn't know what roles were available. And I do a few of these talks with schools and colleges and universities, and I kind of say to people, you're not expected to know what you want to do or what department you want to work in at the minute, because you just don't know. You haven't had that time with, well, you might have done, but a lot of people haven't had that time with a company to understand how these different functions work. So what I do, what I tell people, and kind of what I've done in my own personal career is pursue something that I think I'm good at and that I enjoy. So as I say, I started in marketing, and then it took me a couple of years to realise that I actually wasn't very good at marketing, because I didn't have very good attention to detail. I didn't like sitting and doing market research and things, but I really liked working with people, and that's where I thought my passion kind of lied, and I fell into this role, and I absolutely love it. And sitting under HR now, I feel I'm doing something that I enjoy, and that's the key throughout all of this. For people starting their careers, you need to do something you enjoy, because we spend such a huge amount of time of our lives working. It makes sense to do something that we enjoy. So underneath each one of these, I've picked the main 8 departments which we have at Cranswick, and which you'll find in most of the food and drink manufacturing companies, and they're quite similar across each one. And then underneath these titles, I've kind of selected the key attributes that we would look for if somebody wanted to pursue a career within that industry. So the first one being production. So as a skilled member of a food manufacturing team, production's right at the heart of making those kind of famous products that you see on the supermarket shelves and in the food to go sector. So when I say food to go, I mean McDonald's, Pret, Costa, those kind of food to go places. So production operations are really kind of at the heart of those, making those products, and we have very skilled people that work within our production operations team, so they receive quite high levels of training, enable them to do their job to the high specification and safely as well. So in the food industry, these relate to kind of butchers, bakers, machine technicians, engineers, cheese makers, things like that. But the industry is really so varied that no matter what product it is, you're always going to need somebody in production and ops to produce that product. So what I've done is, like I say, just put some bullet points here as to what I think that somebody considering a career in production ops, if you kind of know you're good at these things, then you'll know it's a career for you. So if you like working as part of a team, if you like doing your own tasks really well, also if you can follow instructions and procedures, and you like being accurate and really having that attention to detail, and then also that you can work quite flexibly as well, then you should consider a career or an apprenticeship in production and operations. I should have mentioned at the start of this, each one of these departments as well that I've selected do offer apprenticeships as well. So you can be linking that back to doing a qualification. So sales and commercial. So as a member of the sales team, you kind of be the key interface between the company and your customers. So they'll be the ones that kind of offer the advice, deal with the issues, and introduce them to new products and things. So the sales team have a major role in capturing those new customers and then increasing the sales to meet those business targets. So what will be expected of you if you work within a commercial or a sales role is that you need to be quite a confident person, very articulate, personable. Somebody who's quite competitive. Commercial is a very competitive department to work in, but then also ensuring that you can work to targets as well. So it's very target driven, very KPI driven in sales and commercial. A very exciting department to work in, I would say. Supply chain and logistics. So this is the team that is vital to ensuring that the business is profitable. And so the supply chain team oversee the transfer of all products which the company makes onto the end user. So in our sector, this would be the supermarket or the retailer or a distribution business. So they kind of organise the incoming raw materials and then ensure that these are brought in on time and to specification, and then the movement of those goods right through to the end, the final product. So in supply chain and logistics, we look for people who are great communicators, who strive off solving problems, who are confident in making on-the-spot decisions, and are very good at organising their time. Engineering, so that's another big sector within the manufacturing industry. So this is the team that maintain all of the plant and the equipment within the business. So as I said, we've got 16 manufacturing sites. As technology is progressing, a lot of our sites are all, it's huge bits of machinery and kit. So we really need a great team of engineers behind that to make sure that that's all running smoothly. So we need people who are well organised, who can work quite calmly under pressure, who enjoy planning projects and then seeing that project right through to the end. Somebody is quite practical minded, so doesn't really want to look at kind of an office job, a desk job, but more willing to kind of get stuck in and get their hands dirty. And then somebody with a little bit of financial acumen as well, because engineering can be quite messy sometimes. So category marketing, so another quite a big one within the commercial sector of the food industry. So the marketing team plan and deliver the best way to promote companies' products for a highest return. So there's two different types of marketing, so brand marketing and category marketing. So Nestle is a branded business, so they print on all of their chocolate bars and water, they print the logo Nestle, so that's brand. So their marketing team will promote that brand. Cranswick, as a manufacturer, producing own label products for supermarkets, we work a little bit differently. So we don't brand our products. I'll take Tesco, for example. They'll come to us and say, can you produce a pack of bacon? We will produce a pack of bacon for them, but they will brand it with Tesco. So category marketing is a little bit different because we sit behind that piece and kind of understand the category, essentially, and understand what the consumers want, what products we need to create. So it's all about really being creative, well organised. You need to have good time management skills, strong communication skills. There's some aspects of negotiation in there as well because you're dealing with the customer. You need to cope well under pressure and have those good computer skills also. Technical, so for anybody studying STEM subjects who quite enjoy the science aspect of the subjects, the technical team would be quite a good team to consider. So they oversee all of the aspects in food manufacturing to do with kind of quality and food safety. So they ensure that everything we create is the highest standard and also produced to our legal requirements as well and our customer requirements. So within a technical role, you need to be kind of extremely meticulous and have that attention to detail, really good at spotting issues. You need to communicate really well. You need to be quite a resilient person, very organised and good also at time management as well. NPD or chef, so NPD is new product development. So for somebody who's quite foodie and likes cooking and thinking of new concepts, you know, in the food industry, we need our brilliant NPD teams to help us create new products and bring those products to life, and then essentially then put them on the shelves in front of the customer. So all of the products that you see on the supermarket shelves, you know, if you see a pack of sausages in Sainsbury's didn't think of that concept themselves. The manufacturing business like Cranswick had an NPD team that thought of that concept, did all sort of the food trials and the factory trials, and then made it into a profitable product that you see on those shelves. So linking that back to, you know, if you think what you're good at and if that's a career for you, then you need to be very passionate about food. You need to have good communication skills again, and very methodical in the way that you think. Extremely creative. I should have highlighted that one because you can't really be in a creative role if you're not a creative person. And again, have that quite hands-on approach to working. Finally, HR. So HR, in simplest terms, human resources, is the department who are responsible for managing the employee life cycle. I like to explain it. So that whole recruiting and hiring process through to the onboarding and training, and then finally to if that employee leaves the business, how you do the administration behind that. So anybody that works within HR, you know, you really need to be good with people because you need to have that quite supportive demeanour about you. You need to be very methodical, very confident, and then finally quite a trustworthy person as well to go into that sector. So hopefully that's given you a bit of background around the different roles within the industry. And like I say, all of those roles have apprenticeships linked to them. So there are opportunities out there for anybody looking to go into any of those departments if they wish. So why study an apprenticeship then? So I'm hoping that throughout, you know, prior to this presentation, you maybe had a little think about if an apprenticeship's for you. But why would somebody potentially look at an apprenticeship over going to university or college or just going directly into a role? So I guess the first key one is that earn while you learn piece. So an apprenticeship is a real paid job. You're employed to do a job while studying for a qualification at the same time. And apprentices have every single same opportunity that a normal employee does in the day-to-day working. They can earn that weekly or monthly wage alongside gaining that vital experience about their role and gaining that qualification at the same time. No debt. So those graduating from uni could face up to kind of owing around £30,000 worth back to pay back as part of their student loan. Whereas those who embark on an apprenticeship have no fees to pay. So the apprenticeship levy is being introduced. So a lot of businesses in Cranswick are one of them have access to the apprenticeship levy pot, and we can use that pot to spend on qualifications. So there's no cost to the individual for the qualification, and you're being paid a salary. It seems a no-brainer, doesn't it, really, to do an apprenticeship? The qualifications can range, so like I kind of touched on before, no matter what level you're at or what level you're educated to or what experience you've got, there is something for everybody. So from that level 2 right up to level 7. And I guess as a business who go through, and we have a lot of apprentices in the business, apprenticeships in the business, we like to see people come in at a level 2 and then progress up. So once they've done the level 2, do we look at something a little more challenging for them, so a level 3 up to a level 4 or 5, and then finally to that master's degree level 6 or 7. Relevant experience. So an apprenticeship is designed to be sort of a structured work and training programme to equip somebody with the skills and knowledge that they need to be successful within their job. So it's relevant to what you want to do. So if you've chosen to do an apprenticeship in food and drink manufacturing, everything you're learning will make you a better candidate at the end of that apprenticeship. You'll know way more about the industry and about that department than anybody that you're working with, because you're getting that relevant experience through your apprenticeship. So gaining that nationally recognised qualification. So you're gaining a qualification, like I say, that is nationally recognised. So wherever you go, you can put that on your CV and everybody will know that you've done an apprenticeship in a certain qualification, and it'll be nationally recognised there. And then finally, building your contacts. So apprenticeships get you involved in that day-to-day running of the business. So you'll meet a lot of people. And you joining a big business like Cranswick, you're also part of kind of an apprenticeship cohort, so you'll have other apprentices with you to share that journey with you. An apprenticeship typically takes kind of 1 to 4 years to complete. So throughout that time, depending on which apprenticeship you've chosen, you can really build up your network of contacts. Hopefully, whatever business you join and whichever apprenticeship you study with them, we would like to think that you would stay with that employer. But if you didn't and you wanted to go off somewhere else, then if you hopefully built up your contacts throughout that time, then you'll have a good network of people to rely on if you do need to look at other options for progressing your career. That's really why, the main reasons that I thought why somebody should want to study an apprenticeship. So coming to kind of the end of this piece, I've just kind of summarised here. There are so many different apprenticeships available to young people looking to go into the world of food production. Like I say, it's one of the main industries in the UK, so it makes sense for the government to try and create and produce as many different qualifications as possible to help people get into the industry and then stay. So as you can see, I've summarised them here. So those in the intermediate level, so the entry level, so abattoir worker, food and drink process operator, baker, butcher, fishmonger, poultry worker, and supply chain operator. I'm not going to read through them all, but then you can go up to that level 3, level 4 and 5, and then also finally up to that level 6 or 7. So you can gain any level qualification with an employer, and there are so many out there. So you might be thinking now, okay, great, so I know a little bit about the food industry and I know about the different departments, so how do I find an apprenticeship? So there are 2 main ways if I was to look for an apprenticeship for myself. One of the ways would be to go via the government website. So all employers should advertise an apprenticeship vacancy on the government website. So it's dead easy. You just go into Google and type Gov UK, find an apprenticeship. And then when you go onto the page, you click start at that little green button, and then you can filter what you're looking for. So you can filter it by the course that you might be looking to do, the apprenticeship qualification itself. You could filter it by location, or you could filter it by business. So you might think, I think now actually I want to look at engineering. So you would go on to the UK website and filter by engineering, and then see what some of the companies that are recruiting. The second website, which I think is absolutely brilliant, is a website called Tasty Careers. It's a brilliant website for those who don't know anything about careers in the food industry, and they have a vacancies page suitable for those who want to find a vacancy. And again, you can filter that by apprenticeship, so you can go on and have a look. And they do have a really brilliant careers map as well. So it's a map and it's got all of the different department functions in. You click onto the department function and it has all of the different roles. You can click into there and just have a little read about, what kind of roles there are within that sector. So I would recommend that, and I'll pop the link to that on the chat function so you can access those quite easily. Finally, not a plug for Cranswick, but definitely check out our vacancies that we have too. So if you go to our careers page, we are on a bit of a recruitment drive at the minute, as I've just explained. This year has been absolutely crazy for us as a business, and our suppliers are requesting, we need to make sure we've got brilliant people in the business to help create those products. So please go on and just have a look. We do have a live apprenticeship vacancy there at the minute for our butchery apprenticeship scheme. But I am working with the team on getting all those other vacancies onto the apprenticeship page as well. So I think that's all I've got to run through in terms of apprenticeships. I'm really excited to answer any questions that you've got.
Well, thank you so much, Katie. It was such an interesting talk, and it's really given us, I think, an insight into, firstly, Cranswick, which is that I never knew any of that, so that was really interesting, and apprenticeships as well. And it's such a fantastic way to get into this career, which perhaps people didn't realise before. Yeah. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We've got quite a few questions actually coming through. So is it okay if we can start?
Let's go through them. Brilliant.
Shall we start with how many apprentices do you take on? And then obviously we just covered how to apply. So I know Katie said she will pop that in the chat for you with the website, but how many apprentices do you take on?
Yeah, so we currently have around 200 apprenticeships live in the business at the moment. They are spread across a range of different functions. So as I kind of just talked through those departments, each one of those we have apprentices studying qualifications in the business. Everybody starts at different times. So some larger food manufacturers kind of have programs where people join at certain times throughout the year. With Cranswick, we are a little bit more fluid than that. So we generally tend to work on recruiting apprentices when they are required within a department. Some of our sites, so our largest site is located in Preston, which is east of Hull. They recruit 3 times a year for their butchery apprenticeship programme, and that's a live vacancy on our website at the minute. So I think that sort of answers your question. So it just depends really if what qualification it is. So I've been on a call this morning about somebody who's looking to recruit a degree apprentice into the technical team. So that will just be one position that we are recruiting for. So we will, take in all the applications, go through the whole interview process, the assessment process, what's required, and then bring in that apprentice into the business. Other times it can be we're recruiting for a cohort. So it might be 10 or 15 apprentices all in one go.
Thank you. And I think a question that a lot of people want to know is, what's your favourite part of the job?
I absolutely love working for Cranswick. 2 things. I love my job and I love working for Cranswick. So I'm a very foodie person. I find it fascinating. And I think I could spend hours in a supermarket just looking at all the products, and I probably bore my other half loads by coming up to them, oh, have you seen this new packaging? And it's clever where they've positioned this. And I just think it's really smart how we see something every day and we consume 3 times a day. But generally people have no thought into where that food comes from and the amount of effort that it takes to get that product there. It still blows my mind how clever some of our teams are to make sure that all the products are, created to be as best they can be, but make sure that they have the right shelf life, that they're presented okay, that they cook fine. So I find it fascinating. And then what I love about my role is, as I kind of said, I love working with people. So I love talking to anybody, and I'll talk for hours, so you all need to do a point. So I love my job because of that. So it's HR and I get to work with people every day, and I love it. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, thank you. And I think possibly another question, because if we've not really explored this career before, a question is, what is the work-life balance actually like?
Yeah. So we're a broad business. We have so many different departments. A lot of our teams work shift work, so it would be some sites would do kind of 4 on 4 off, others do weekend and weekday shifts. So those that are working shift work have their set shift patterns set out in front of them, so they know exactly what hours they're working throughout the week. So that work-life balance piece is really about people just planning their time out of work. Those that do work 4 on 4 off, I've heard it's absolutely amazing because you're only working 50% of the time. So I probably need to see if I can get on that.
Get on that, yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess in terms of those that, so like myself, I work Monday to Friday, 8 till 5. We are a busy business and we always have a lot to get through. And that's personally what I like about it. I would hate a job where I'm bored, but I just have to make a conscious effort to make sure that I have that balance right. And a lot of our managers in the business are very kind of proactive in terms of promoting positive work-life balance within our team. So we do a lot of training for the managers to make sure that they're equipping their teams to do their job within the hours that they're being paid for. So I'd say as a business, it's good. It's that good work-life balance. And I think we try and promote that as a HR function also.
Thank you, Katie. We've also got a question here about, is there much opportunity for travel in this line of work?
Yeah, so I guess in terms of travel, if you mean internationally, so I didn't touch on, we do have a huge portion of our business is export. However, our export division are quite a small team. So those that work in the export team at Cranswick definitely pre-COVID did a lot of traveling, but I don't know whether that will change now because we found out that we can do things like this instead of driving or flying and, putting the air miles and things on. So there's definitely the travel opportunities there for those who wanted it. I guess nationally, so I work for Cranswick, the head office function for Cranswick. So my time is supposed to be split equally between our 16 sites. Again, pre-COVID, I would do a lot of travelling. So one day I might be in Northern Ireland, the other day I'd be in Wembley in London, then Suffolk. So I used to do a lot of travelling, but the way that COVID has happened this year, I've adapted to being much more efficient and realising that I don't need to do as much travelling. So if you worked with the business from a group function, then there's definitely that opportunity there. If you worked at a site, probably not. It would just be that site location is where somebody's based. But depends which team you would want to go into.
Thank you. And then I know that we touched on each of the fields and the sort of skills that you look for in a person with that. But generally speaking, what kind of skills would make somebody successful in the food and drinks industry?
I think so. From what I've kind of gone through today, we're a very competitive, fast-paced business, and we look for people who are just really ready to get stuck in and ready to work hard. We recruit, so I manage all of the graduate recruitment in the business, and a business of our size, you would think that we would put people through what you call psychometric tests. So they're tests that people get online and they have to complete basically to prove how intelligent they are. We don't do anything like that because we sort of believe that we can teach somebody to do a job, but what we look for are those kind of attributes that they want to learn and they want to do that job. A lot of our very senior, so our senior leadership team, so our CEO and commercial directors, they join the business as young individuals without that much experience, without that many qualifications, but they've been here for so long and they've worked up all that experience and they've got to where they are because they work extremely hard. So that's what we look for. So if you are still in school or college, think about those things that you can do now to enhance your CV. So when you send it to an employer, so being on the recruiter side of it, I read through hundreds of CVs a year. What are the things that stand out on your CV that prove that you are very hardworking? And so that's kind of the extracurricular activities. So volunteering, jobs outside of work, sports teams, things like that just show that you are proactive and you're willing to kind of go above and beyond while still getting your GCSE or A-level results at the same time. So I think that's what we look for, and I think that would be quite similar to other people within the sector as well.
No, I really like that. I love the fact that you look for hard workers and what people can do because, again, you can train different things. So it ties perfectly into the last question that we have, which is, do you have any advice for applications?
Yeah, so I guess there's kind of the pre-interview and then interview stage. So if we look at pre-interview, how can you make sure your application that you send in isn't just going to go into somebody's junk folder? So it's really simple things like if you get a CV and it's got a load of spelling mistakes in it, I know it's just a spelling mistake, but to us that looks like you're not bothered and that you've not read it properly. And it's things like if you're sending a CV to multiple employers, just remember to change the name of the employer that you're sending it to. Anything like that's just sloppy, and it's going to look bad, and somebody's not going to want to see you because they'll just think, well, you obviously said that half-heartedly. And then again, just that piece, just try and think of all the things that you can do to put on that application to make you stand out. Everybody, goes to school, everybody gets qualifications. So what else can you put on there to make you stand out? And don't make them too long as well. So stick to the 2-page rule, because recruiters do just scan. They don't have time to read every single CV and application. So make it brief and make it exciting. And then if you get invited for an interview, absolutely great. But all those kind of simple things you can do. So things like eye contact. So there's nothing worse when you're interviewing somebody than them feeling so nervous, and it is nervous and it's horrible, and you get sweaty palms and you don't know what to say, but just try and be confident. And, just that eye contact is so important to make you look and feel more confident. And just be yourself as well. Interviews are formal in the way that they are. And again, they're horrible and you get asked questions. It's uncomfortable, but just try and be personable. Everybody in that room will, we're all human beings. We all understand people have feelings and emotions. So just be yourself, and at the end of the day, if you get stuck, they're brilliant, but if you don't, then that at least you've gained some experience from that interview. And so would kind of be the main tips, I think, that if you're applying for a position.
Oh, thank you so much, Katie. I think that's a wrap on the question side. And I just want to say a massive thank you to you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us today. It's been really, really insightful and really interesting as well. And also thank you to everyone who's asked questions. Obviously, I know that Katie said she'll just pop in the chat some of the websites to go on for you to have a look at. But again, thank you for everyone for joining us here today. And we hope that you enjoy the rest of the Humber Apprenticeship Showcase.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Millie.
Bye.
Thank you.